In this video, I'm going to cover budgeting for asset building and why wealthy people budget for ownership, not just expenses. Most people think of budgeting as a tool for controlling spending. When they hear the word budget, they often imagine restrictions, sacrifice, and carefully tracking every dollar spent on groceries, utilities, transportation, and entertainment. While managing expenses is certainly important, this traditional view of budgeting overlooks one of the most powerful principles of personal finance. The purpose of a budget should not be limited to paying bills and surviving from month to month. Instead, a truly effective budget should help build assets that create long-term wealth. The difference between budgeting for expenses and budgeting for asset building can determine whether a person remains financially dependent on their paycheck for life or eventually achieves financial freedom. One of the most common financial misconceptions is that high income automatically leads to wealth. In reality, income and wealth are not the same thing. A person may earn a six-figure salary and still struggle financially if all of their money is spent on lifestyle expenses. Conversely, someone with a moderate income can become wealthy by consistently directing a portion of their earnings toward assets. Wealth is not measured by how much money a person earns. It is measured by what they own. Assets such as stocks, bonds, retirement accounts, real estate, and businesses have the potential to increase in value and generate income over time. Unlike consumer purchases that lose value, assets continue working long after the initial investment has been made. The psychology behind asset building is particularly interesting because it challenges the way many people naturally think about money. Human beings are wired to seek immediate rewards. Psychologists refer to this tendency as present bias, which describes our preference for immediate gratification over larger future benefits. When people receive extra money, many feel an urge to spend it on something they can enjoy right away, such as a new smartphone, a vacation, or an upgraded vehicle. These purchases provide instant satisfaction because the reward is immediate and visible. Investing, on the other hand, often feels less exciting because the benefits may not appear for years or even decades. As a result, many individuals unintentionally prioritize consumption over ownership, even when doing so undermines their long-term financial goals. Behavioral research supports this observation. Nobel Prize-winning psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky demonstrated that people tend to make financial decisions based on emotions rather than logic. Their work on behavioral economics revealed that individuals often focus more on avoiding short-term discomfort than on achieving long-term gains. This explains why creating an expense-focused budget can feel restrictive. When people are told to cut spending, they often perceive it as losing something valuable. However, when budgeting is reframed as a strategy for acquiring assets, the psychological experience changes. Instead of feeling deprived, individuals begin to view each dollar saved as a tool for creating future opportunities. The focus shifts from what is being sacrificed today to what is being built for tomorrow. The importance of asset ownership has been demonstrated repeatedly through real-world examples. One of the most remarkable documented cases is that of Ronald Read, a gas station attendant and janitor from Vermont. Throughout his life, Read earned a relatively modest income and lived a simple lifestyle. Rather than spending every dollar he earned, he consistently invested in high-quality companies and held those investments for decades. When he died in 2014, he left behind an investment portfolio worth approximately $8 million. His story attracted widespread attention because it challenged the popular belief that only high-income earners can become wealthy. Ronald Read's success was not the result of extraordinary income, inheritance, or luck. It was the result of disciplined asset accumulation over a long period of time. Another important lesson about asset building comes from the research conducted by Thomas Stanley and William Danko in their influential book, The Millionaire Next Door. After studying thousands of self-made millionaires, they discovered that many wealthy individuals did not live lavish lifestyles. In fact, most drove ordinary cars, lived in modest homes, and carefully managed their spending. What distinguished them from the average person was not how much they spent, but how much they invested. They consistently directed money toward acquiring assets instead of liabilities. This finding highlights a critical distinction that many people overlook. Wealth is often built quietly through ownership rather than displayed through consumption. One of the most powerful tools in asset building is compound growth. Compounding occurs when investment earnings begin generating their own earnings, creating a cycle of exponential growth over time. Although the concept is simple, its impact can be extraordinary. Consider a person who invests $300 per month beginning at age 25. Assuming an average annual return of 8%, that individual could accumulate hundreds of thousands of dollars by retirement. If the same person waits 10 years before starting, the final amount may be dramatically lower despite contributing for many years. This example demonstrates that time is one of the most valuable assets an investor possesses. Small amounts invested consistently over long periods often outperform larger contributions made later in life. Unfortunately, many people underestimate the power of compounding because the human brain struggles to understand exponential growth. Psychologists refer to this as exponential growth bias. People naturally think in linear terms and often fail to appreciate how quickly investments can grow over decades. As a result, many delay investing because the immediate benefits appear small. However, history has shown that wealth is often created through patience and consistency rather than dramatic financial decisions. The investors who achieve substantial success are frequently those who remain committed to a long-term plan despite short-term market fluctuations. Budgeting for asset building requires a different approach than traditional budgeting. Most people follow a simple pattern. They earn income, pay bills, spend money on discretionary purchases, and save whatever remains. Unfortunately, little is often left over at the end of the month. Asset builders reverse this process. They pay themselves first by automatically directing a portion of every paycheck into investments or savings before spending on anything else. This approach ensures that asset accumulation becomes a priority rather than an afterthought. By treating investments as a non-negotiable expense, individuals create a system that steadily increases their ownership of wealth-producing assets. Another effective strategy is tracking net worth rather than focusing exclusively on monthly expenses. While expense tracking is useful for identifying spending habits, net worth provides a broader picture of financial progress. Net worth is calculated by subtracting liabilities from assets. A person whose investments, retirement accounts, and property values are increasing over time is building wealth even if their income remains unchanged. Monitoring net worth encourages individuals to focus on long-term growth rather than short-term consumption. Perhaps the most important mindset shift involves redefining the purpose of money itself. Many people view money primarily as a tool for purchasing goods and services. While money certainly serves that purpose, it can also be used to acquire assets that generate future income and opportunities. Every financial decision involves a choice between consumption and ownership. Spending money on a luxury item may provide temporary enjoyment, but investing that same money can create future financial security. This does not mean people should never enjoy their earnings. Rather, it means recognizing that a portion of every paycheck should be dedicated to building a stronger financial foundation. In today's consumer-driven society, people are constantly encouraged to spend. Advertisements, social media, and modern marketing techniques are designed to create desires and encourage immediate purchases. As a result, many individuals fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation, where spending increases as income rises. Despite earning more money, they fail to build meaningful wealth because their expenses grow just as quickly as their income. Asset-focused budgeting helps break this cycle by ensuring that financial progress accompanies income growth. Instead of upgrading every aspect of their lifestyle, successful asset builders increase their investments and ownership over time. Ultimately, budgeting for asset building is about creating a future rather than merely managing the present. Paying bills and covering expenses are necessary parts of life, but they do not create lasting wealth on their own. True financial progress occurs when individuals consistently allocate resources toward assets that appreciate, generate income, or both. History, psychology, and real-world examples all point to the same conclusion. Wealth is not determined solely by how much money a person earns, but by how effectively they transform income into ownership. The most financially successful people understand a simple truth. Every dollar has a job. It can either be spent and disappear, or it can be invested and continue working for years to come. A budget focused only on expenses helps a person survive. A budget focused on asset building helps a person thrive. The path to financial freedom begins when individuals stop asking, "What can I afford to spend?" and start asking, "What can I afford to own?" That single change in perspective can transform not only a budget, but an entire financial future. Thank you for watching. In the next video, I will cover budgeting with multiple income streams. If this video helped you understand budgeting better, subscribe to Budget and Build for more beginner-friendly finance tutorials.